Alright, hello there. So I'm doing some mapping in RPG Maker NV. This is the game I'm working on, which the working title is The Prince's Tale. Anyway, so what I want to show you is a method I've come up with for shadow, a simple way of doing shadow mapping or a shadow overlay. So this is what it looks like without the shadows. This is a mirrored version of the tower. So I've got a west tower and an east tower, and you can see it's much more dynamic with the shadows. So without further ado, I'll show you how these work. Actually, I'll show you quickly in Photoshop. These are my overlay tiles. So I've got this just plain background just to show you, well, so it's clearer to see, but I can actually white is probably easier. So they are semi-transparent. I've actually got two versions. Up at the top there is a 50% opacity black, which is sort of the default shadow color. If you look in here, if you brush in shadows, whoops, that is 50% black, it turns out. And then I've also got a 30%. Just for sometimes it looks a bit too dark in some rooms if you've got lights or what have you. Now I've done these quite simply, but you could also do much more complex or specific shapes. So say if you didn't have a light here and you've just got this light, you might want to make a map which gives you a shadow on an angle like that. And you could, reuse that for all kinds of things. So you could do that. I have also got, in here, if I go back to Photoshop, I've also got these, which are supposed to be like light spills from stained glass windows and that kind of thing. I haven't really utilised them that well so far, but if I go here to hallway, that's kind of what's going on here, but it's not very clear on that red background, so that could do some work, but it is quite an effective way of doing things without getting involved with parallax mapping, which can be very effective, but obviously the maps can get quite large, the image files can get quite large, and I have some concerns. I've read some things about memory leaks with some of the plugins where the images are never properly cleared out of memory or something. I don't know. I need to look into that further. But this is one way you can do it. So what you want to do is make your maps like this in Photoshop or GIMP or anything like that, and set the opacity to whatever you want. Like I said, I've got 50% and 30%. I've got a couple of other things. This is a doorway leading sort of to the outside, because the default ones are always dark. So that's what I was all I've been able to find anyway. So I wanted something that looked like you were going out into the light, and I've got just that one of the standard floor tiles sort of fading in there. These here are some sort of longer gradients, so I might use those a little bit. But basically, yeah, make some kind of thing like this, and then this is how it is applied. So we're going to start off with, I'm going to use the lighter ones, and I'm going to start off just mapping around these lights. So that gives the impression of the light being casting some light around it and then fading off. I'm also maybe going to do this. This is the top part of that same circle, and I'm going to put that opposite, as though there's some lights down. Oh, actually I need to fix something first. What I need to do, oops, need to do this to make it look as if the wall goes down into here. Not the wall, sorry, the floor comes down here. So yeah, I'm going to put some suggestion that there's lights on this wall down there, and I'm going to use this as a pool of light underneath those on the ground as well. Then in the center of this tile I have just a sort of standard that kind of 30% black with no gradients, and what I might do is go like this, so it looks like there's some sort of lighting happening over there, which there is in the hallway. That actually looks like I need to fix some things there, but I'll do that later. Now let us, so this is what we're going for, so I need to work out the stairwell. Excuse me, making silly sounds. So what have I used there? I think I've used one of those, something like that, just to look like there's some kind of bounce light coming from here. Also I've used standard % there. I think probably I've used this here as well. Oops, wrong one. Like that, but also a deeper shadow of this wall here. Now here I could just use these. Could do it that way, or I could use my darker one and fill that like that. It does have a tendency to look a bit dark. Let's have a look at what I did here. I don't know. I think that is probably a combination of this and this, or it might be a combination of that and that. So you do have to fill around a little bit, I admit, but it does mean that you can reuse all the all the tiles that you've made. So you're not loading, as I said earlier, you're not loading in massive massive image files, which can be good. For more complex scenes, they let you do much more sophisticated kind of mapping, but kind of at a price, I guess. I see what's happening there. Yeah, at the price of, them being quite large, and just going to fix this wall. When I copied it over, I obviously didn't fix everything. So these ones here are just a straight gradient, whereas these are sort of, or these ones, sorry, are a little bit curved because they're kind of semi-spherical. I think here I also had one going from here. Is that right? Yeah. So that's just to suggest that up here, where the stairs are coming down, that there's light spilling from the upper floor. I hope that makes sense. So you come up here, and then there's stairs probably going this way, and then a landing. In fact, the landing would probably be here, and you'd be coming this way. But I think this makes it slightly clearer what's going on. What did I do here? Just a standard, maybe, I think I used one of these. There we go. Oops, wrong one. That way. So there you go. That's quite a simple way of mapping a quite effective quite effective shadows, I should say. Sorry, into the game. Let's see how it looks actually in game. Press F4 to go full screen. I hope this is still being recorded. And you can see my character is under the shadows. It comes out into the pool of light. And again, actually that's not quite working. I need to fix that. You do have to be careful sometimes with the if you use a different map that the character doesn't, sorry, a different tile that the character isn't popping up out of the top of the tile, because character tiles, unless they have, I think it's an exclamation mark or maybe it's a $sign in the English versions or international versions of the RPG Maker, they are lifted up 3 pixels or something, around something like that, which makes them look like they're standing on the tile, but it does make these problems. So one way to get around that is to make sure that you're using the same tile in areas like this. It doesn't always seem to happen. I don't know why, but it doesn't seem noticeable down here. It seems okay, but for some reason here, but I think this should have fixed it. Yeah, so that's okay. So there you go. So that is my method of doing simple shadow maps. And like I said, you could be much more sophisticated with this and extend it much more. You've got all this space. You could use them. You could fill all of that up with different variations, different shadow angles and lengths of shadow. So I've got these ones which I don't know whether you can see, but they are a gradient downward, and I've used that again. I've used that here in here to suggest light spilling from the window above or under the door or whatever. So you can use them like that, which is quite cool. So I shall end the video now. I hope you found that interesting or useful. I'm sure there are other ways. I'm sure people have done this before, but yeah, thanks for watching. This is my first tutorial, and I've been using RPG Maker MV for a couple of weeks now, so I'm getting the hang of it, but there's still lots that I need to learn. So probably people will say in the comments that there's better ways of doing this, but maybe, I don't know. I'd be glad to learn any tips and tricks you think would do this better, but yeah. Hope you like this, and possibly even subscribe if you should so fancy. Bye for now.